No appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to speak to the bill. The gentleman, always very eloquent in his description of his legislation. I noted that he spent much of his time talking about this example of, and lawyers all like to give examples. That's how we do. Gave the example of folks walking around the street with a weapon like that loaded in front of a school. Even though the gentleman mentioned that as a very alarming, extreme example of how one might lawfully possess a weapon like that, that is clearly not the problem, if one exists, that the gentleman is trying to solve, if that is an accurate way to put that. Because people standing around on street corners with weapons like that is not a problem. The problem that I would hope the gentleman is trying to address is one that we all agree needs to be addressed in the wake of the Sandy Hook tragedy, which is how do we make our children in our schools safer. The gentleman fails to point out that a weapon like that is not the weapon of choice that has been used in the vast majority of school shootings in this country over decades. I was not alive at the time, but I'm very cognizant of the infamous University of Texas bell tower shooting. That gentleman, for lack of a better word, killed, I don't know the exact number, but a whole lot of people with a scoped deer rifle. The crazed gunman at Virginia Tech used 2 handguns, which would not be included in your legislation. The 2 shooters at Columbine used 2 shotguns and 2 semi-automatic pistols. There's one school shooting that, in my mind, represents sort of what I remember as the first in a long line of, in the modern age, these horrific incidents at our schools, which happened at Pearl, Mississippi. There was a young man there named Luke Woodham who was a student there. He had been bullied or something, and he decided to wreak vengeance on his classmates by bringing a weapon to school and killing some of them. I think he maybe even killed a teacher. He used a .30-30 lever action rifle to do that. Also not included in your legislation. As a side note, you mentioned that guns don't save lives, and you think that that is statistically supportable. I would disagree with you. I think that the statistics would, although there are many violent deaths in our country, we can certainly put forth many a statistic that shows how guns save lives for law-abiding people and their families each and every day. But in that instance in Pearl, Mississippi, the assistant principal who stopped this massacre did so by running to his vehicle, which I might add was parked off campus because it was illegal in Mississippi, may still be, to possess a firearm on school grounds. So, knowing that and being respectful of the law and not wanting to be a criminal himself, this assistant principal, who carried safely to protect himself and his family everywhere else in society, decided to run to his vehicle, retrieve his .45 caliber pistol, which he then returned with, and stopped Luke Woodham as Luke Woodham was getting in his car to drive to the middle school to kill a bunch of kids at the middle school. One wonders what would have happened if he had been able to get to that gun more quickly. But again, nothing about anything you propose today would do anything to stop things like that. Those most notable, especially here in Virginia, of massacres and carnage. If the gentleman is really interested in stopping bad things from happening because people do bad things and make bad decisions, then I would agree with Mr. Van Cleve that definitely you should incorporate hammers and blunt instruments into your legislation, because the FBI statistics support his contention that more people are killed each year with those objects than with that which you have brought with you today. Furthermore, if you're desperately interested in ensuring that nothing bad can ever happen, then if we are going to focus on the instrumentalities of the crime, then by all means, let's stop people from owning and driving motor vehicles. Because more people are killed with bad decisions that people make every day with cars than they are with that type of weapon you have brought with you there as your exhibit. By the way, driving is a privilege. Possession of a firearm to protect oneself and one's family is a fundamental right, I believe, even though we apparently disagree on that. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield the floor.
Any further comments from the